And it's a lot more comfortable at this hour, but we're still in the 80s here in the valley. So overnight temperatures not necessarily dropping, and this leads to less recovery time from the daytime heat.
Honestly, she handled that way better than I would have. The second I feel something crawling on me, that news report would have changed to breaking news for completely different reasons. That is the definition of professionalism. Me? The camera would have just caught me sprinting out of frame.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
What if there was a lost, advanced civilization before us, and we've been slowly rediscovering their technology? We're told the United States begins in 1776. Just 16 years later, we have the stock market. Then suddenly, within a relatively short period of history, humanity begins developing trains, engines, airplanes, electricity, telephones, and eventually computers. But according to one theory, we didn't invent these technologies, we rediscovered them. Then look at Australia. We're told the modern nation of Australia officially comes into existence in 1901. Yet across Australia you can find massive old-world buildings and architecture that appear far more elaborate than what many people imagine such a young country should have been constructing. And Australia isn't alone. Across the world are enormous stone buildings supposedly built hundreds of years ago with limited technology, yet so elaborate that we rarely recreate anything like them today. Then, strangely, many of these buildings were later destroyed by fires. What if these weren't simply old buildings, but remnants of the civilization that came before us? And what if they left behind more than architecture? Maybe the train, the airplane, electricity, and even technologies we're discovering today aren't entirely new. Maybe we're slowly being given back technology that humanity once had, before something erased the civilization that created it.
Is it possible that history is just one huge brainwashing? Because rediscovering technology doesn't sound too far-fetched. I mean, some of these monuments, we still have no answer as to how they came about. And yet we seem to be, well, apparently we are the most advanced technology amongst our timeline of human race. But nobody can explain how those pyramids are built though.
This all connects, and it's way too dark, okay? Ancient Egypt wasn't just advanced. They had sophisticated technology and were deep into black magic and contracting spirits through sorcery with that technology. And I was talking to a friend about DMT, and he was going on and crazy about the fact that those same entities are now showing up to rich people on DMT. And Joe Rogan even opened up about these thoughts about them basically giving wisdom to rich people, but them actually being demons. So where do those demons actually come from? Well, Christ himself learned about Tyre and Sidon and Canaanite and Phoenician strongholds of demon worship and just trading spirits. And this is the same demonic system Solomon got caught up in when he turned to idolatry. You got Egypt, Canaan, and Phoenicia. It's all just one big giant system, and these spirits never left. And even darker is the same occult bloodlines have been shaping what we're taught in school and in history. Ghislaine Maxwell's father had major influence over textbook publishing. They took the ancient Egyptian knowledge, both technology and the spiritual side, they repackaged the material and made it modern science and kept the occult practices for themselves. And this is why you see Egyptian symbols everywhere hidden in plain sight. I mean, the Oscars literally look like ancient Egyptian god statues, and Hollywood is Hollywood. The dollar bill has the pyramid, and we're literally Babylon. It's all rooted in Egyptian occult symbolism. And DMT is not enlightenment, okay? You're bringing in those Canaanite Phoenician spirits, okay? And it's not coming through Jesus Christ. So it is not righteous. It is not loving. It is not anything we should be using in our daily lives. It's a deception. And that's the one thing that the devil loves about our modern society.
There's nothing new under the sun. And anything you think about doing is already been done. So all this time we think that we're progressing, but really we're being held back. After the fall of the Tartarian Empire, they hosted these world fairs where they showed off their newfound technology, and for a little while we was able to use them. Everybody's talking about electric cars and electric scooters, and this ain't new. This is old technology that they've suppressed. They even had electric charging power stations. Why hold something back and they bring it out like it's new? It's about money. It's about control, It's about imagination, and it's about freedom. All these things they don't want you to have.
And don't forget one of the most important things, it's also about oil. I'm doing a quick dive into this because it's quite interesting, and I found, just looking at that picture with the maple electric bus, a maple electric bus refers to an early 20th century battery-powered double-decker electric bus operated by the London Electrobus Company, featuring prominent exterior advertising for luxury furniture and furnishing stores, Maple & Co. And once again, this seems to be a running theme in this video. This was around the 1900s, 1910. And here we are with all the electric cars, the electric bikes, the electric scooters. But it seems to me like all of this was already existing prior to now, but we're making it seem like it's some sort of new technology. But speaking of rediscovering, if you just discovered this channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to keep in touch with what we're doing here. Also, do me a favor, like the video right now before you forget. It helps us get into the algorithm. It helps us get introduced to a new audience as well. And of course, I want to hear your opinions in the comment section, so drop your comments. And some of you are seeing the hype button. Make sure you hit that hype button. I know that you have 3 of them a week, so you can at least spare one for us. And I'm not going to hold you hostage, all right? Let's move to the next clip.
The head of America's largest utility is issuing an urgent warning right now that you could lose power next year due to the rise in data centers and the lack of energy in America's electricity grid. Calvin Butler, the chief executive of a company called Exelon, which is the largest U.S. utility by customer count, spoke to the Financial Times and said that Americans could absolutely lose power next year due to shortages, specifically in power plants in the Northeast and the Midwest. He said that it came very close last winter to curtailing power to hundreds of thousands of Americans. He also says that your electricity bill is going to rise pretty quickly because it's necessary to fund infrastructure for the AI boom, to fund data center construction and management. And it comes as PJM, another utility which operates in the Northeast and Midwest and recently had possible issues during the heat wave, says it's going to face a 60 gigawatt power supply shortage over the next decade. This is an energy crisis that not enough people are talking about. So spread the word, follow for more.
I'm wondering between which one of you people that are watching this video right now are asking for these data centers and AI to be rolled out the way it is. You're trying to tell me they're going to force blackouts on us just so that they can push this technology forward even further.
This is the pyramid of Teotihuacan in Mexico. Before they dug it up in the 1900s, it looked like this. Just an oddly shaped hill, kind of like those hills in China they promise us are just hills and definitely not pyramids. Or the hidden pyramid of the sun in Bosnia, which again they insist is just a hill. And if you think otherwise, you're a fraud and a con artist. Here is the pyramid of Teotihuacan today, one of the largest structures in all of Mesoamerica. Once a totally natural hill, now a sprawling complex of stone megastructures that we still have no idea who or how they were even built. Anyone who claims they know is just coping. Here's another before and after of the same structure, also known as the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan, and it literally just looked like a grassy hill. Even all of these smaller structures laying around the main pyramid were all completely buried underground. An entire ancient city complex hidden as a natural geological formation for hundreds of years. And it seems like our entire world is built on top of sites like these. Like the Great Pyramid of Cholula in Mexico as well, which barely even resembled a hill, just a natural outcropping of the ground pre-excavation, that later turned out to be the biggest known pyramid in the world by sheer volume. It may not look like it, but it's an absolute chode, insanely wide at almost half a kilometer at its base. Now, the hidden Pyramid of the Sun in Bosnia would be bigger if it turned out to be a pyramid, but no, that's fake, don't look at that. That one's just a hill, remember? The world-famous Chichen Itza looked just like a rickety little mud hut on top of a mound before it was fully uncovered as one of the greatest pyramids of the Mayan civilization. Same with the Temple of the Great Jaguar in Tikal in Guatemala. At first, just a little stub sticking out from the jungle overgrowth, and of course, a whole-ass pyramid underneath. If monuments like these are this hidden after just a couple hundred years, imagine how much more they'd be after a few thousand.
The strange thing about these monuments that we just looked at is majority of them were excavated during the 1900s. And they ended up being structures like this, as you see here. It's very interesting to think If that was just only a couple hundred years ago, what about the structures that used to exist prior to that? How would they have looked? Would they have been as detailed as these structures that we see in here? The more we look into all these things, the more questions that I have.
This absolutely blows my mind, and it's in America. So when people think of monumental ancient architecture, they usually think of the pyramids of Egypt. Massive structures built by organized civilizations capable of coordinating enormous amounts of labor and resources. But what most people don't realize is that North America has its own ancient monument that rivals the pyramids in scale and engineering. This is Monk's Mound, and it's located in the ancient city of Cahokia near present-day St. Louis. And Monk's Mound is the largest prehistoric earthwork ever built in the Americas, rising nearly 100 feet above the surrounding landscape and covering roughly 14 acres at its base. It occupies more ground area than the Great Pyramids in Giza. Unlike the pyramids of Egypt, which were built from stone blocks, Monk's Mound was constructed entirely by hand using millions of basket loads of earth and clay. And they did all this without horses, without metal tools, or any of the modern equipment that you would think would be required. It was built between 900 and 1200 AD, and the mound required an extraordinary level of planning, organization, and labor. There was no horses, no wheeled carts, no metal tools, just human effort on a massive scale. At its peak, the city of Cahokia may have been home to between 10 to 20,000 people, making it one of the largest urban centers north of Mexico. Monk's Mound stood at the center of this civilization and likely supported a massive wooden temple or council house or some kind of residence for the city's rulers and religious leaders on top. What makes Cahokia even more fascinating are the ancient artifacts that have been left behind. Archaeologists have uncovered engraved shells made from marine shells transported hundreds of miles from the Gulf Coast, and these ceremonial ornaments feature intricate images of falcons, spirals, serpents, and mysterious geometric symbols. Stone tablets discovered at the site depict human-like figures, bird beings, supernatural imagery that many researchers associate with ancient religious beliefs and cosmology.
Honestly, when you look at this structure and you compare it to the pyramids of Giza, it honestly just looks like a hill. However, with how this guy explained all the history behind this mount, it is quite fascinating. It's kind of ironic how people are fascinated about ancient Egypt, although I can understand why, as it was one of the greatest civilizations to ever exist. But even it eventually fell. So maybe copying the aesthetic isn't part of the history you want to be focused on. What I'm trying to say is, if you're trying to take inspiration from history, maybe don't copy the civilization that ended up only being a chapter in a history book.
What are the nine?
A group of entities that are basically overseeing the universe, I guess is the simplest way to say.
Okay, so they're aliens.
Yeah.
And this cast of characters, Arthur Young, Ruth Forbes Payne Young, plus an Astor and a DuPont, and all these other names from American financial history, they're all in one room in Maine, in a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. And they're having a seance. And there's an Indian gentleman conducting the seance. And in the midst of the seance, he's causing things to materialize, what they call apports. So all of these threads materialize out of nowhere. One for each of the 9 people that are at this particular seance. And he's channeling a spiritual force. And the spiritual force says, we are 9, and you are 9. And you're going to be instrumental in controlling the fate of this planet in the future. That's what they're told.
Right.
And in case anybody doesn't believe me, Andrija Puharich, who was the chairman of this operation, he was the leader of this group that we're now calling the 9. He's published all of this. He's openly published the notes of this meeting and everything that was being said and everything that
A lot
happened.
of it was recorded on audio too.
And it was, yeah. You can download it. This is weird stuff, right? So this seance is being held not once but several times. The one main seance was this one about the 9. And as it transpires, as we know more and more about the 9, we understand from whoever's channeling them that they're actually in a saucer in low Earth orbit. These are aliens of some kind. Okay, and when Puharich brings Uri Geller over to the United States to be tested and everything else, and all of this, Uri Geller claims also to be in contact with the Nine, and he's the one who identifies them as, you know, also being in a spacecraft of some kind in orbit around the Earth. So all of this is Andrija Puharich. He was very much involved in finding ways to weaponize telepathy, ESP, and the paranormal in service of the intelligence agencies.
We went from people doing DMT and finding spirits in these experiences to these people doing seances and finding spirits of the Nine. Are we sure we're not talking about the same people and all of these guys are not just demons? I mean, literally all you need now is a Ouija board between all these people.
How did nobody notice this? You used to have a memory card, right? A BlackBerry, your iPhone. I don't know if iPhones ever had a memory card you could pop out. Androids, of course, did. They took away our memory cards and then charged us to store data. Of course, you have an option to pay for it. I'm not saying it's forced, but I mean, I got 100,000 pictures and videos on my phone. I'm paying like $8 a month to put it on the cloud. It's not the cloud. It's somebody else's computer. Here's the crazy part. That's not all. And how did we not notice that? They took away the headphone jack and then sold us $300. The whole Apple AirPod thing is a shocking rabbit hole if you see how they did that. They took away DVDs and VHSs by phasing them out. And now you stream and you pay. You don't own any videos. You stream. The crazy part about that, by the way, is if everything is digital, they could edit at the blink of an eye concepts, ideas, old films, and you'd never know. Especially with the advancement of AI, they could take a 20-minute segment out of the movie The Patriot and replace it with something else, so something else completely happens. Most people forget about it. We're too bombarded with information to even know what's going on. They took away our ability to fix our cars in our driveway. Now you got to take it in, man. The sensor's gone. You need a computer to read your car's computer. You want to put a new battery, or you want to put a new tail light on it or something? It's software locked to the VIN. You got to pay the cloud services of the vehicle's manufacturer to replace it. Things are getting shocking, man. Keep your head on a swivel.
I think it's an absolute scam that you do not own any of the items that we're buying any longer. It's a planned obsolescence, as you know. If you know, you know. But I think the most scariest thing about this is it doesn't even feel like this is the main reason why this is being done. What I think is that all of this is just a test to see how far they can take it, to see how much can we do before they actually start complaining. Because the minute they started taking the headphone jacks from the phones and telling us that we need to use Bluetooth headphones to listen to whatever you want to listen to on your phone, that should have been some serious red flags. But here we are.
A recent study out of MIT's Media Lab showed that users of large language models had reduced neural engagement during an essay writing task. The users also had weaker recall and ownership of the work. Just a few months of relying on large language models can measurably reduce the brain's engagement during thinking tasks. I believe something like this has been happening amongst the uber wealthy, CEOs, doctors, and of course politicians and celebrities. These people have outsourced countless everyday tasks. Assistants schedule their lives, answer correspondence, remember appointments, make calls, book travel. These people have endless small problems and logistics in their lives managed for them. And this makes these people surprisingly stupid. Areas of their brain responsible for pattern recognition and even logic and reason may have been atrophied. Have you ever experienced this?
Honestly, I'm partly glad all of this stuff is happening because ever since AI has really been integrated into our society, I've decided that I'm going to be reading more books, paperback books, you know, reading my mangas, reading the fiction books that I need to read all on paper because, yeah, it just takes me away from the laptop, takes me away from the phone. And as you know, recording these videos requires me to be in front of a laptop anyway, so I'm trying to run away from that. But what this guy is saying is true. Check out the next clip.
If you feel bad for using too much AI, remember Canadian politician Bill Oliver left an AI prompt in his speech and accidentally read it out.
That citizens often develop expectations that exceed the powers actually granted to those offices. Here's a more natural flowing version of that section that reads like a legislative speech rather than a series of short points. Madam Speaker, one of my concerns with this...
I don't know what's more impressive. The fact that he thinks that he's going to get away with using ChatGPT to write his speeches, or the fact that he read that prompt and didn't even clock that that was a prompt that he was reading.
Nobody knew that these were there until 2012 when the LiDAR results came out.
Holy shit.
There are mound fields that are a mile. This particular mound field is a mile long. It's a 10 by 10 mound field, and these mounds are enormous. They're like 30 feet across. And there's no explanation at all for what these are.
And they didn't even know they existed.
They didn't even know they existed. So what they discovered in Cambodia completely shocked the world. So you can see Angkor Wat in this photo is right in the middle of that giant moat. There were huge mound fields all around Angkor Wat, inside this moat and outside of Angkor Wat. And then if you go south of it, you can see these giant spiral embankments. If you just zoom out a tiny bit, Jamie, do you see those spirals in the bottom left side of the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Those are, from one side to the other, they're a mile long. Yeah, so these are the geometric features at Angkor Wat.
And these are hidden from the naked eye?
Yes, they're under the jungle canopy.
I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Deep down, I would like to believe that this circuit pattern conspiracy is actually real and all of this was manufactured for a reason. But we might be stretching it here.
I heard someone say that you never feel ready because ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And that hit differently, my beloved, because most of us are standing at the edge of everything we've ever wanted, waiting to feel brave enough, sure enough, calm enough, ready enough. Sweetheart, ready does not arrive with a green light and still hands. It shows up with a racing heart, a shaky voice, and thinking, what if this goes wrong, playing on repeat. And still, ready asks you to move. We tell ourselves, I'll start when I'm ready. I'll leave when I'm ready. I'll speak up when I'm ready. But what if ready never feels the way you think it should? Sometimes ready is crying and doing it anyway. Sometimes ready is feeling scared and moving anyway. Sometimes ready is not having a single answer, but deciding that staying stuck costs more than taking the leap. Because growth does not wait for comfort, my darling. Healing doesn't wait for confidence. You don't wake up one day fearless. You wake up one day feeling tired of being smaller than you know you were created to be. And that is the moment, not because you feel ready, but because you're finally done shrinking. Let's be about staying ready, not getting ready. I love you.
Do you know what hit between all that she was saying there? Being smaller than what you were created to be. And this is the thing. It's so deep when you realize that this perspective of thinking comes from a place of knowing that there's more to this than just it being a coincidence. Knowing that there's more to this than us just being here on this floating rock, by coincidence once again. This is all strategically planned, strategically built. And the quicker that we know this, the quicker that we can understand that we need to have faith and take a leap of faith, you know? I love what this woman is doing. It's really cool. But I want to say to you guys that this is a perfect time to really, if you do feel like you want to do something, and if you feel like there's some things you want to give up in your life, this is it. It's never going to be a time where you'll feel like you're ready to do it. You just kind of have to do it. And it's the same thing with me doing this YouTube. I never really, there was never a time that I felt like, oh, I was ready to do it. Even now, I'm literally just shooting for, what do they call it when you're I don't know, you're shooting for empty space or something like this. I'm just trying, do you know what I mean? I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm going day by day, and thank God we're improving, do you know what I mean? And of course, with you guys giving me your comments and let me know how things are on your side and how you view it, it lets me know that we're doing something good here, you know? But I was never ready. It was just like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna try it out, you know? You can't fault a person for trying something, you know? And there are many things in this life that I want to try out. There's so many things, and I'm sure it's the same with you. So this is a perfect message to not wait for the perfect time, because there really doesn't exist. The whole point is that all we have is now, and we've got to move with that mentality that now is the time, and if you want to do anything, now is the time. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit, so hopefully you can understand what I'm trying to say, and hopefully this message resonates with you. And yeah, listen, that was the last video for today. Newcomers, once again, you'll see a video come up right over here. It's recommended just for you. Click it, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next episode. Take care of yourselves and stay curious as always. Peace. Okay, yep, we're getting there now. This thing is starting to melt. This thing has lasted for like this, on this level, for like the last 2 weeks. And any of you who have witnessed this miracle, you'll know that this is so strange, just like these videos. But yeah,